This was posted by Jacob FW on the forum. The original source is seekingalpha.com. So a popular financial news site. Intel stock has been trading near 20-year highs. However, Intel's annual 10K filing shows that the company's operations are running far behind the sentiment in the stock and that the earnings per share growth is being driven through stock buybacks. I mean, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone who's been following the tax changes that have been made down in the States over the last several years. Intel is far from the only company utilizing its windfall from not paying as much taxes to buy back a whole bunch of its stock and pump up the value. Although there may be more to this, so let's go through the rest of this. So the driver of Intel's story in the recent past has been its data center group, but this segment barely grew in 2019. Could be partly because of AMD EPYC 2 Rome servers. And their profitability actually declined by over 10% the first year EPYC shipped in decent volumes. So yes, that is probably a factor. And if the last few months, ever since Rome 2 in particular, are anything to go by in terms of like third-party reviews and just the buzz that I've seen in the places where people are discussing enterprise hardware, 2020 is not going to be a good year for that unit. So the other major group at Intel is the client computing group. So that's where you've got your K-series overclocking, gaming CPUs, all that kind of thing. And growth in 2019 also died down. AMD has been consistently gaining market share against the client computing group ever since basically the launch of Ryzen. I mean, it's at the point now where all we have to do is fire up Amazon.com.
Yeah.
I mean, check this out, ladies and gentlemen. This is not pre-scripted, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're gonna look at. I don't even know how to navigate Amazon's site. It's terrible.
CPaaS computers.
It's terrible. Computers. Yeah, but it's not computers. I need computer components. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We need computer component. Well, whatever. Here you
we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Here you go. AMD. Some more AMD. Best seller. AMD. Some more AMD. That's red, but not AMD. But hey, it's red, it counts. More AMD. Holy crap.
That's actually...
AMD board, AMD processor, AMD board. There isn't a single Intel thing on the landing page.
That's actually crazy.
Now, if I wore a tinfoil hat, I might suggest that Amazon is, Lisa Sue's niece is working for Amazon and making sure... No, that's... Amazon is algorithmically driven. I can tell you for a fact that if it's AMD all over the computer components front page, that's because that's what people are, even if they're not necessarily buying it, every single one of those products. Like, Intel's definitely still selling CPUs, but even if they aren't necessarily buying it, that's what people are shopping for. That's what people are, like, lusting after right now. Wait. Oh no, never mind. I thought I saw an Intel product on the homepage, but actually that was just something that I had in my cart as like a thinking about item.
So I sorted to specifically CPU processors, and there's Intel stuff right on the front, but you'll...
Hold on, here we go. What do you got? What do you got here?
Well, what do you expect there to be in the middle top?
Oh boy, what the heck is that doing there? Why is that there? Why is it $500? Why is there an Athlon XP? What are these sponsored? Who is sponsoring this? We need more transparency. What's going on here?
Once you move past the
I've gone back in time. It's Athlon XP versus Core 2 Quad. That's gonna be a gong show.
Once you get past the sponsored ones, however, it's AMD land. It takes, 7, sort of 8, because there's randomly an SSD in here until you get to an Intel processor.
Okay, hold on. I had a viewer ask me to do it in incognito mode.
Oh, okay.
Friends, cool. I always do it in incognito mode. So this is computers. Don't just go away. Computer components. Here we go. All right. We ready, ladies and gentlemen? AMD.
This is identical.
AMD. Yeah, I actually don't really shop on Amazon.com very much, so I might as well be loading it in incognito mode.
Oh, I also went to .ca.
Oh, okay.
That was .ca.
Oh, okay.
I showed you guys.
But you ended up with a couple Intel processors.
Well,
but that was when you went to the CPU page specifically. Oh, wow.
Went to the CPU page. After the sponsored posts, it's all Ryzen for 2 whole rows.
Wow.
And then in the third row, the third item is an Intel processor.
Yeah, and then you got like an SSD in there because like you only live once. So there's an SSD beating Intel's first entry.
Yes.
That's
and they
rough.
get 2 entries, and it's all back to AMD for 3 more, and then back
AMD
to
town.
Oof.
Population, y'all.
Oof.
All right. So what else we got here? Growth would have been negative if not for adjacent business, a segment that included the Apple modem business, which saw a major growth spurt in 2019. So Intel is posting increased earnings per share despite the declining operating income. How is this possible? Stock repurchases have climbed from $3.615 billion to $10.73 billion in 2018 that was 2017 to 2018 to $13.576 billion in 2019. So some may argue that Intel is continuing to generate tremendous amounts of cash despite the challenges, and there's nothing wrong with stock buybacks. In fact, it can be a sign that the executives are confident that stock price will go up in the future. The argument is a little flawed, though. The main problem is not stock buybacks, but that the buybacks are hiding the declining operational performance.
So I read this. I don't think that the argument is necessarily flawed.
Right.
Because they're saying, some may argue that they're getting a bunch of cash and there's nothing wrong with stock buybacks. Then the next statement is saying that the argument is flawed, which would mean that there is something wrong with stock buybacks.
Well, there can be. I think is what they're trying to say.
We praised Ubisoft, like 2 years ago, when they resisted a company buying them out by frantically buying as much stock as they could.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think buying back stock is necessarily a bad thing. They could definitely be using it to cover up declining whatevers, but if you're making stock purchasing decisions and you're looking that shallowly at things, like,
That's not, because you have to protect the lowest common denominator. 100%.
I don't do stock stuff very often, so.
Okay, no, what I mean by protect the lowest common denominator person.
That's what I thought you
Oh,
meant.
yeah, no, so like, that's why.
I'm including myself in that.
Oh, I see.
Because I'm not super informed on stock
Okay, but lowest common denominator, no, I would not consider you to be lowest common denominator. Lowest common denominator is more referring to the capability or the the methodology that someone might use to approach something.
Okay.
And you have to make sure that you're protecting the people.
So you're protecting like stock do good, buy stock?
Yeah, like people who are like that because they need to know that something's being manipulated.
But you also can't stop a company from buying back their stock because of...
No. Another thing too is that, if the executives own a bunch of stock,
if the stock is dipping, this might be a good time for them to buy if
buy
they think
back,
it's going to come back eventually.
Or buy back so that the stock doesn't dip too far so they can sell theirs for a good value before everyone clues in and it really dips.
That also makes sense.
So, anyway.
I could see why someone could maybe argue that it's not a great thing that they're covering up the stock dipping. Totally understand that. I wouldn't agree that they shouldn't be allowed to do it or something, because it's fair.
I mean, this is obviously not something that would work for the very long term. Eventually you run out of cash to buy back.
Yeah.
To buy back stock.
Especially with this increase, the first year's increase was over $7 billion.
Yep.
And then the next one was what, around just under 3.
But I mean, I would be very surprised if Intel doesn't come back swinging hard in the next 2 to 4 years, and maybe this helps them ride out that dip.
Yeah.